Hello, today is Wednesday, the 10th of October, 2012. It is also day number 19 within this sideways consolidation. I guess the only change that I've done to this chart is increase the upward scale a bit so you can see this band, which has been hanging around at 37 and change, waiting and waiting. Hey, come on, price action. I'm waiting for you. And now all of a sudden, the band is starting to lower in and bringing more reason to stay. Okay, this is looking on a technical level. This is indecisive. The further these lines go to each other, the quicker or the sooner we should be having that big breakout or breakdown, or at least conceiving move for one side or the other. But I don't want to talk about the charts too much for today. I got some data going back to 2005 from livecharts.co.uk, which gets their data from ducascopy.com. So this is for the XAG/USD, which is that of silver. We're going to look at every single hour going back to 2005. So the columns have the time frame, the amount of periods that traded within that time frame, going back, of course, to 05. The 1 hour yield. So this tells you this hour it has held on to 79.3% of its value that hour, or down 20.7. Then a situation like here, you can see that it's held on to 1.595, or it's up 59.5%. The 6 hour yield determines how well the price action is done 6 hours ending this time frame. And then the amount of wins, losses, and ties for that particular hour, just taking the close minus the open. If, of course, it closes higher, then it's a win. If it closes lower, it's a loss. If it closes with the exact same price, it's a tie. This shows us the amount of days that has a greater than 1% up, or hours, I should say. This shows the amount of hours that has had greater than a 1% up move. This shows you the amount of periods that had more than a 1% down move. And the final column is the median volatility for each of the hours. So this particular hours is the first hour, midnight Greenwich time. It's 63, or 0.63% is the median day. So out of 1,010, the 1,010th most volatile day on the session would be 0.63%. So now going through some of these hours, we can see in here that the first couple of days has overall been down for silver. We move on to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. We can see in here, look at the numbers of volatile moves. Both the median is below 0.5%. 4 up moves, 9 down moves, 6 up moves, 11 down moves, and compare that, of course, to later on in the day, which is extremely volatile. The 6 hour yield is the highest after 3 o'clock, and this is from 3 to 4. So really at 4 o'clock a.m. Greenwich time, if you were to only play the 6 hour time frame ending really 4 o'clock for the last 2016 times, you would be up 555%. So that's basically telling you here, maybe it's also a good time to get out of silver, because, at least for a few hours, because 4 o'clock, it's down 16%. It's only held on to 83.6% of its value. The median of volatility, of course, is still low, but it's still a down period. 5 o'clock in the morning, pretty much a down period. 6 o'clock in the morning, volatility starts to increase. Notice here you have 24 periods going back to 2005 that have had the major up moves, where before in here it's all single digits. Now you notice some of these, that there's a little bit more for about a periods in each hour. Don't ask me why, but that's how the data presented itself. So 6 o'clock you can see is in the up month, as I stated, or up hour. 7 o'clock, up hour as well. But when 8 o'clock in the morning comes into play, that's when things change. That's when they change. From 8 o'clock, you lose basically 15% of its value. Volatility is up to 74 of a 100th%. And then at 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock is where it gets really serious for the first time anyway. At this time frame, it's still very early in New York, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, depending on the time difference. Because I've always known GMT to be a 5-hour difference from New York time, but for the last many months, it's been 4 hours. We'll wait and see when the time changes in November. If it'll go back to 5 or not, I don't know. But with that being said, you can see that it's lost about half of its value almost in both of these periods. At 10 o'clock to basically from 10 to 12 a.m. Greenwich time, silver's taken a pounding. At lunchtime, it's done fairly well. Now the volatility at this time reaches over 1%. This is like 8 o'clock a.m. New York time, so that's why it gets massive up until this period. These are the 6 hours where the volatility is over 4/5 of 1%, for the median, that is, of course. So here you can see it's up, down, up, and then these two periods in here. So from 1500 hours, which is 3 p.m. Greenwich time, to 5 p.m. Greenwich time, you're doing well going long on silver in what is also volatile times. And then 1700 hours, which translates to about, I guess that would be lunchtime, New York time. Not a good month, not a good time for silver. And then, of course, this is the rest of the data that you can see here. 2200 hours. Notice that there's only 1,938 days, or hours. I think once a week they don't have an hour then. I think it's a Friday, actually. They don't trade at 5 p.m. Eastern time, so maybe that's why it's so low. And also at the same point, 2100 has an extra 190 hours. You'll notice, what I notice is when the week starts, there's two 2100s in a row, and I don't know why. Again, don't ask me. As far as some charts are concerned, this is the chart for 2200 hours. This is that top one right here. The one that's up close to 300% since just in that hour alone since 2005. So it's been pretty much in a constant uptrend, but for the last year or so, it's gone sideways. At 1700 hours, this is the one that's not doing so well, but for the last 3-4 years, it's been going sideways. So you can't say, oh, you know what, 1700 is a bad time frame, or lunchtime New York time. No, it was bad here, and it was really bad here. And the reason why it went down so fast was because on the date, which was the day of the major volatile stock market down day, where the stock market bottomed that day at 8,000, but that hour, silver opened at 1070, and it closed at 948, which means that hour alone, just 1 hour, it lost $1.22, or more than 10% in 60 minutes. And finally, one more chart. This is the one for 11 o'clock Greenwich time, which works out to about 7 a.m. New York time. That's the one that went sideways for many years, but in the last 5 years or so, 4 years, it's been in that of a downtrend during that hour. Now, when we go back to this data, to me, it's just a little absurd that a market that has went up pretty much from about $5 at the start of 2005 to around $34 today, how we can have hours that have only held on to 58% of its value. But you know what? This is the way the markets work right now. It's obviously what people call a paper traded market, digital, computer-based, but with the same thing, really not working within the real physical silver on hand. Thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.